Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. This is Lagos Talks. Yes, Lagos and beyond. We're talking. And as always, it's an interactive conversation every morning from 9 a.m. Would love for you to be a part of the conversation. All you need to do is get your thoughts across to us. The WhatsApp number is 0809 440 981. And you can also tweet at Smooth981. We're streaming live on our YouTube channel, so you can catch that live stream. It's Smooth981. And don't forget to subscribe. Now, this morning, we're talking about the Nigerian Cybercrime Act of 2015. Now, interestingly, this law was signed by former President Goodluck Jonathan on this day 9 years ago. Yes, 15th of May, 2015. Now, in a fast evolving landscape of digital communication, everyone all across the world is, just trying to take care to make sure that citizens are protected from cyber threats while they're going about their duties in the digital space. And Nigeria is not any different. Now, this law was signed basically to sort of protect citizens from any crimes that could happen using a computer in different ways or forms. Now, we have a guest joining us this morning, and our guest is of Counsel, Streamsowers, and Kohn, Ibukun Konu. He certainly knows the law. He's practiced it for a very long time, and he's got a very serious look on his face right now, like he's in court. Okay. Our guest is Ibukun Konu. Good morning, Ibukun, and welcome to Lagos Talks.
Good morning, Zibby. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, we're talking about assessing the real-life impact of the Cybercrime Act. It's a hot conversation. People have the ideas about the cybersecurity levy. People have the ideas and the thoughts of free speech and cyber stalking, and a lot of the arrests that have gone on for alleged breaches over the past few weeks. Welcome, Ibukun. So, walk us through this Cybercrime Act.
Thank you, Zibby. Well, as you stated, it's basically a law to prevent cybercrime. Basically, that's committing crime, any illegal activities over the internet, using the phone or your laptop, and that's what the law is supposed to do, basically. But most Nigerians don't know about the law because, you have almost 31 offenses in the law, and there are also some, would I say, things that should be common knowledge, but are not. The site, as you rightly said, it was passed in 2015 and it was amended in 2024. And the whole brouhaha about the 2024 amendment really came to light with the CBN circular saying that banks should take out 0.5% from customers' funds. Now, originally, in the original act, the cybercrime levy was 0.05. It wasn't well drafted. It just said 0.05. It didn't state percent or anything. And it was to be domiciled in the CBN, and the Office of the National Security Advisor, which is the body that sort of like coordinates the Cybercrime Security Act, is supposed to, keep record of it. But one of the pitfalls of the 2015 law, but it didn't state who was supposed to administer the fund, and it still doesn't state what the fund is supposed to be used for. So that led to the amendment in 2024, which was just recently signed on the 27th of February, which now makes it clear that, the Office of the National Security Advisor is supposed to administer the fund, and also introduced or increased the levy from 0.005% to 5%. Now, what does this mean to
0.5%?
Yes, 0.5%. So what does this mean to the ordinary man? We've seen the circular from the CBN, and which has, as we all know, was stopped by the president, I think 2-3 days ago, when the president gave an executive order, asking the CBN to halt. And this has led to a number of issues, because first of all, the act doesn't say that the customers are supposed to pay. What the act does say is that certain businesses will pay based on the provisions on electronic transactions by the businesses. And these businesses are set out to be, GSM providers and telecommunication companies, internet service providers, banks and other financial institutions, insurance companies, and the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So maybe that is why the presidency has thought it right to, hold on to them. Because apparently, I spoke with some bankers and they said, yes, previously the banks had been paying this 0.005%. when we talk about these figures, it might not really, play in the mind of someone. So let me try and break it down in the small maths that I have, but nobody should hold me to it because as a lawyer, maybe we run from mathematics. So for 1,000 naira now, that levy would amount to 5 naira. Before the amendment, it would amount to 5 kobo. So if you say your phone, your internet service provider, your telcos, that's your television companies, your banks, your insurance companies are going to be taking off or charging you 5 naira for every 1,000 naira every time you do a transaction, and they're remitting this to the cybersecurity fund, it can come to quite a lot for an individual. So, and it also creates sort of a situation where you might have a cross or interplay of funds. So, example, if I get on my phone and I use my banking app to buy credit on my my GSM line,
yes,
am I paying twice? Am I paying 5 naira for the fact that I've done a banking transaction? And then I'm paying another 5 naira for the fact that I've done a telecommunication transaction. So there are all those areas that I think need to be cleared up, and which might result in us seeing a further amendment of the law. Also, again, you haven't heard the telcos try and charge, or the ISPs or insurance companies, or even the Nigerian Stock Exchange trying to put this on the end consumer. From the wordings of the act, it's supposed to be a cost borne by business.
So it's possible that they might just pass it on. Is that a concern?
Yes, they could legitimately pass it on, but they can't do it in the way, or rather, let me not say, they shouldn't do it in the way the CBN has, as to designate it as the fund taken from, the levy. And it makes sense when you think about the amount. If you have 0.5%, they are more likely to pass it on to the final consumer. But if you have the 0.005%, which is basically 5 kobo on every 1,000, because of the volume of the business that these businesses do, it will amount to something. But that's just on the actual monies that come in. I think also the act is lacking with what the fund should do, because there's no purpose to the fund. There's no structure. There's no guidelines as to what the fund is supposed to be used for. We just know that it's supposed to be administered by the Office of the National Security Advisor. And it was a good amendment because it was funny. The first act said money should be in CBN and the Office of the National Security Advisor would keep record. So you want to keep record of what? So I'm saying my money is with Zibby. Ibukun keep record. How can I keep record of the money with Zibby if I'm not administering it? So that was why you had some of the amendments. And that's not the only amendment you had to that. But I think that's the one that really threw this act into the limelight, of course, from the other issues that happened in social media.
All right, we are speaking with Ibukun Konu of Counsel, Streamsowers, and Konu, talking about assessing the real-life impact of the Nigerian Cybercrime Act. Would love for you to be a part of the conversation. Let us know your thoughts, or if you've got a question, well, he's the man. He knows the law. 0809 440 981. That is the WhatsApp number to send your messages to. You can also tweet at Smooth981 or X at Smooth981, and you can also give us a ring as well. 0144899981. Don't forget, you need to dial 02 and then 0144899981. Now, another part of this act that seems to have found it's a resurgence in recent weeks is Section 24, and this one has to do with people sending messages that may be indecent or just meant to cause distress in some form. We'll continue the conversation on the other side. Stay with us. Okay, we'll be back on in just about a minute. We'll be back on. Sorry, you're in your headphones. We'll be back on in just about a minute.
How did I do?
Very well. No, you didn't. Okay. You know how you know it, and we actually like you guys like that. Plus, a lot of us would need your services if things continue the way they are going.
See that you don't need the service. Well, no.
Are you legally allowed to represent yourself in Nigeria?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
But it's not in your best interest. Even lawyers,
of course.
Then you have to get somebody to examine you if you have given evidence.
Oh. Okay, so that's that will be.
Because even lawyers go to court and have juniors, so when you're focusing, okay, you missed that one.
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay.
Long.
Oh.
So when are we going back?
47 seconds.
Okay.
So anyone basically who chooses to represent themselves is basically just trying to go and chill in jail or something.
No, it depends
on the gravity of the situation.
Gravity. Yeah, you mean in the criminal matter?
Yeah.
Well, it's not advised.
Right.
You know the law.
Do we have public defenders in Nigeria that proper?
Public defender.
All right. So everyone gets access to a lawyer if they can't afford it?
Yes, you're supposed to be there's a legal aid counsel, also public defender, and even judges at times they tell people your report and the judge say, okay.
But then those lawyers, do they really do it like do they give it their all? Oh, sorry, we're on camera, so you have to be. Okay, that's fine. Okay. You're listening to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. It's Zibby here, and we have a guest with us. Our guest is a lawyer, and right. Okay, let's just pull your mic closer. Thank you, Ibukun. Ibukun is having some lessons in studio management in addition to his law degree. This morning, we're talking about assessing the real life impact of the Nigerian Cybercrime Act, and we want you to be a part of the conversation. So if you've got a question, you've got a comment, this is the time to send it to us 0809 444 0981. Now, let's talk about Section 24 of this act, and basically says any person who intentionally sends a message or other matter by means of a computer system or network, and I'm quoting now, that is grossly offensive, pornographic, or of indecent, obscene, or menacing character, or causes such to be sent, has committed an offense. Now, there's subsection 1B that says a person who knowingly or intentionally spreads messages known to be false, which may cause annoyance or for the purpose of causing annoyance and inconvenience, insult, has committed a crime as well. Now, for a lot of Nigerians who are navigating the digital space, if you're on social media, you probably might have seen 1, 2, or maybe 100 unpleasant messages. Sometimes people say things and the people that are being talked about have come out to say, look, this is not true. I'm going to get you arrested and we're going to see in court. Now, the Constitution also does guarantee people the right to free speech, right?
Yes,
so how does this act balance the right to free speech with the need to regulate harmful behavior online?
Okay, thank you very much. Very good question. The act seeks to create a safe space, a safe haven for people in the internet. It's a good intention. But then in law, you have crime and you have civil actions, which are torts. And part of tort you have is libel and slander. As you well know, as a journalist, you'd have been, well schooled as to making sure you say the right things on air to people. So what is libel and slander? Libel and slander is basically saying something bad about something. Libel is when you publish it in the written material, like you said, online, and slander is when you say it orally. And even in libel and slander, you have exceptions. For example, what you call insults. So your normal Lagos day, you're in traffic with somebody, get out, this time you're just a yeah person or something like that. Or if I come here now and we have a disagreement and say, go, don't mind that Ibukun doesn't know anything, he's a yeah charge and be a lawyer. That would just be an insult, right? So the crime, the act had, I say had because there's been an amendment, had sought to criminalize, insults. How do you make something a crime for annoying somebody online? How do you police what is, how can you say something is indecent or is of a menacing character or I cause something that makes someone feel annoyed or, things like that. So that has been amended now, which is why I said the 2024 amendment is key. That has been amended. And what it just simply says is that instead of having that grossly offensive and pornographic, it's just limited to pornographic material. You use the computer system pornographic material. And the second part where you say to be false, you're sending something that causes annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, insult, injury, criminal intimidation, enmity, hatred, ill will, or needless anxiety. So you can see, Zibby, how do you go to court and say, oh, it won't cause me needless anxiety? And I'm supposed to know that by saying I don't like food from your area of the state or where you're from, that will cause you needless anxiety, and that is a crime. So the law itself has, I think the people who are in charge of the law, that's the House of Representatives and the National Assembly, they have, toned this down and amended it. So what it now says that if you know the information is false with the intent of causing a breakdown of law and order, posing a threat to life, or causing such a message to be sent. So basically, just three things now. One, you know it is false. Two, you intend to cause a breakdown of law and order, or it poses a threat to life. So where you're saying something that doesn't go along those principles, you should not be charged. Now, this is interesting because this amendment was made. Remember, I said it was made on the 27th of February. But if you had done something like that, I'll not mention because I know some matters are in court. If I had done something, right, and I had rendered my opinion, and that opinion to you is something that is insulting, or, it's something that, it causes me distress or anxiety, or shows hatred or enmity, I could report you to the police and you could be arrested. However, the law does have its own self-healing mechanism. And in laws, what happens is that you have the theory that when a law is passed, laws are not of retroactive effect unless they confer a benefit. So, and you can't be charged for a crime. It's an old case. I won't bore our viewers our listeners with it, but you cannot be charged for something that is no longer a crime. So, for instance, if you had charged me to court for saying I don't like soup from your area, and at the end of the day, while we're in court, that action is no longer a crime, I really shouldn't be charged for it. The case shouldn't continue. Do you understand? Because it's no longer a crime.
Right.
So that's how the law works. It's sort of like, would I say, self-correct itself, where you have these things. And it's also important, apart from this, Zibby, I also want to tell people that there are also offenses of a sexual nature in the Act. It seeks to protect children from incidents of child pornography and other related offenses. I'm not sure whether you've heard, whether it was on the news. There was an incident of a father posting pictures of his daughter in some very unsavory circumstances, even in a hotel and things like that. And I heard that he's now been arrested. So these are the kind of things that the law seeks to protect, and also to project how citizens can be protected. And you also have the offense of grooming, which is where an older person starts to speak to a minor with the intent of carrying out sexual relations with the person. And for that, you can get up to 10 years in prison or 15 million fine, both. For the distribution of pornographic material, you can get 10 years imprisonment, 20 million naira, or both upon conviction. But what is important to the everyday person, because we're talking about how it affects you. So please, dear listeners, if somebody sends you something and you see a message that has, oh, look at this man that did this to this child. I mean, we see it all the time. People are sending things or you're showing children in indecent clothing. Please, please, please delete it from your phone. Or even better, advise you, whatever messaging platform you're using, go and put the settings so that you do not automatically download the images or videos. So where you do receive these things, you can see, maybe you read the caption and say, no, this isn't for me. Because the law is also against people that, produce or send such information. So it's very important that we note that, apart from be careful about, what you say online, so that you're not, seen to be going across the law, you should also protect yourself as the content that is sent to you and that you send out.
Now, what challenges would exist when it comes to prosecuting cybercrimes under this legislation, particularly in terms of gathering evidence? So in fact, cyber stalking is something that has come up quite a bit. Just yesterday, I did speak about this on the grapevine here on the Smooth Breakfast. A singer was arrested on charges of cyber stalking. In fact, there were 10 charges against this singer. Defamation, cyber stalking, harassment, online harassment, false accusations, obsession. It's a long list, about 10 of them. But then that cyber stalking comes in. How will the law define cyber stalking, and how can it be?
Okay, thank you, Zibby. That's quite, when you talk about cyber stalking, it's talking about section 24. And like I said, the ingredients that or with intention, you send a message that, one, is pornographic. So if it's pornographic, I mean, you're guilty. So we have the evidence there. You can see, we all know what pornographic material is. But the second bit comes into the second, where you say the second half, where it has to be, it's known to be false, or it's with the intent of causing a breakdown of law and order, threat to life. So if I say something about you and I render opinion, one, is it false? Do I know it is to be true, or is it my truth? So the law and the court will look at circumstances. So for instance, if I come to the studio and I say, oh, Smooth FM is XYZ, and everybody knows Smooth FM is ABC, even by appearing, it's obviously that, yes, you did intentionally try and mislead people. Okay. And again, you have to think about, are you doing it to cause a breakdown of law and order? Or are you causing a threat to life? So that's why I said the law has moved on from the old provision of causing annoyance, etc., etc. So if I Smooth FM is not a nice place to go to, yeah, Zibby did not.
It is, by the way.
Zibby did not give me all the nice things she gives Tega and all the other presenters. Has it, caused a breakdown of law and order? Has it caused a threat to life? So the old law has been limited by the 2024 amendment to make it more realistic and more practical. And I would guess this is part of the job of the advisory council, because there's an advisory council. Now, this Cybercrime Advisory Council has over 25 members, and it would surprise you that, well, it wouldn't surprise that it has the police, the NIA, the EFCC, ICPC, the Ministry of Justice, and a lot of other, state operators. But you also have the Bankers Committee, the Association of Telecoms Operators, and Internet Service Providers. And what is the Cybercrime Advisory Committee supposed to do? Counsel, rather. It's supposed to share their knowledge, experience, intelligence, and information, and make recommendations on issues relating to the prevention and combating of cybercrime. Yeah, they're supposed to formulate programs about cybercrime. They're supposed to give grants to establish cybercrime research centers in tertiary institutions. Yes, so that's where maybe part of this cybercrime levy, the fund, is supposed to do, but that doesn't state it.
Okay, 1 second, Ibukun. Our phone lines are buzzing, so let's take a quick phone call and hear from the listener. Good morning. All right, it's not a problem. You can give us a ring back. You know the number 01-4489-981. Don't forget, you need to dial 02 and then 01-4489-981. That's how you can get through. You can also send your message through via WhatsApp 0809-440-981. Or just tweet at smooth981. All right, I'm coming back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so how will this be handled? Because just a few days ago, the police had posted something about a woman who lives in the UK, but is accused or has been accused of cybercrime, like cyber stalking and a few other charges. This woman is in the UK. How would such cases proceed, when there is a difference in location?
Okay, Zibby, sorry, let me just backtrack.
Okay.
One of the cyber stalking issues is one of the provisions is where you make a statement that contains a threat of harm to property or the reputation of somebody, yes, or a deceased person. So again,
okay, just the deceased.
Yes. So
I thought there was a law that you can't defame a person who's deceased.
Well, that is the law as it stands now.
Okay.
So where you make a statement, right, that contains a threat or harm to the property or reputation of somebody, or the reputation of a deceased person, or a threat to accuse somebody of something or a crime, or to extort money from them, from any person, from any association, etc., etc. That would also be like cyber stalking. So if you're trying to blackmail someone, so you did mention that this person was the person that seeks to be arrested in the UK. What had she done again? You said she had
cyber stalking and a few other crimes, spreading false information online.
Well, if you're saying that, if it's based on that provision that you're trying to harm the person's reputation, again, I don't really think these are things that affect the life of the average Nigerian, because the law has civil. If I've done something to damage your reputation, that's libel and slander. Now, ask yourself this, Zibby. If I said something to damage your reputation as a broadcaster, would you prefer for me to go to jail, or would you prefer to slam me with a 5 million naira suit and get the money?
I'm not legally allowed to respond to that.
Okay, I think Nigerians normally, because the remedy is that somebody has damaged your reputation, and that reputation, you use it to make a living. And so you would normally seek financial recompense from the person that has done that, as opposed to, because if the person goes to prison, that hasn't helped your brand in any way, apart from, okay, we got this guy, he told a lie, but the damage has been done. You don't receive the money. Although there are parts of the act that do mandate that the court can order restitution. But that is, I think, in cases of where you fraud. So if I what we probably know as 419. So if I scam you, so to speak, and take your money, apart from me going to jail, the court can say, hey, Mr. A, return the 5,000 or 5 million that you took from Mr. B. But that, again, that remains if there's anything left of it.
Right. So some of these cases can just be civil cases rather than criminal.
Yes, they can. And I think that we even serve the interest of, because our police is spread very thin, they try their best, but they're really at their spread very thin.
Now we're going to speak about the police and this law on the other side. Do stay with us. Are you good? Yes, we are. Oh, wow. This is very enlightening. Okay. Okay. This mic thing is just so random. I don't know. Oh, this is it.
Oh,
okay, I was trying to figure out what was going on. Okay. Okay, that's good.
Once in the process, how should you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, let's go back. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Sorry?
Banking crime. Banking crime.
Okay, okay. You're listening to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. It's Zibby here, and we are talking about the Cybercrime Act, and would love for you to give us a ring, send us a message, let us know your thoughts, and if you've got any question or comment as well, this is the time, 014489981. Don't forget, it's 02 and then 014489981. WhatsApp 0809 440 981. And guest this morning is Ibukun Konu of Counsel, Streamsowers, and Kohn. We're assessing the real life impact of the Nigerian Cybercrime Act. Now, just before we went on a quick break, the subject of the police did come up. And there is a concern by citizens who believe that the police seems to be very active when it comes to enforcing this bit of the law. Now, some say, in fact, that the police may actually be acting not in a way that is impartial, but they're acting on the whims of some of the people who have brought charges against another. Now, a few months ago, there was an incident of a lady who'd done a review of a product that she bought, and the owner of that organization wasn't too happy with it, and she was slammed with some charges. Now, that was just one of many. We've seen, in fact, some journalists have been arrested, some bloggers as well, and regular folks, just like the musician as well, because they've dared to speak up. So there is some concern that the police might be working against the citizens. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, Zibby, when you say the police are acting on the whim of somebody, the police always, except they catch you in it, will always, most of the time, act on, I'll not say the whim, but somebody has to write a petition. And they examine the petition and see, is it in line with the law? Is there what we call prima facie proof? Is there on the face of it? Have you done something that crosses the law. And if the law says that where you knowingly or intentionally transmit something that damages the reputation of another, and you know that thing to be false. So, like I said, it's like me saying your office is at ABC when it's an XYZ. So the threshold there, which investigation, and at the end of the day, if the police do prosecute and you're in court, the judge will look at is, did you intentionally, did you knowingly, intentionally that thing was false, do this thing to damage somebody's reputation? Now, let me give you an example, Zibby. Supposing someone, for dietary reasons, or cultural reasons, does not eat pepper. He goes to a restaurant, which people like. He eats his restaurant, he eats the food, and maybe the dish was a peppery dish, or not stated as a pepper, but to him was had a high level of pepper, and and the person writes a review saying, "Oh, I went to Zibby's kitchen. The food is just pepper. My tongue was on fire, XYZ." Now that is that person's opinion. Can you say that that person does not have an opinion? Because in criminal law, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. So that means you have to establish that, one, this is a fact. And then this person knew that this thing was not as it was, and he went ahead to do it so it could damage the reputation of Zibby's restaurant. Can you call opinions a fact? We have different taste buds. You might like something peppery, I might like something sweet. Some people might like something savory. Like a lot of Nigerian people, we struggle when we go abroad to say, all this their food, there's no pepper inside. That's why I see people traveling with Indomie and dried pepper and all sorts of things. Because it's not our taste buds. And you see people come here, Europeans and others, and say, it's too hot. And you see them, they're sweating. And I'm like, what do you mean? What is hot here? There's nothing hot, So the judge will have to look at what is an opinion vis-a-vis what is actually a known intention. So there must be a fact. So if I say Zibby is a man, the fact that Zibby is a woman. So I can't say I have an opinion about that.
Right.
So it has to be that intention that you're actually doing it. You know something is false. You intentionally do that false thing with the intention of causing somebody's reputational harm or damage.
Okay, coming off this instance of peppery food, everyone has different taste buds. Maybe I don't like too much pepper. Someone likes a lot of pepper. Can I not go online and say, look, I ate at Ibukun's restaurant. I ate at Ibukun's buka, but it was too peppery. Is that not my right to free speech? Or I found it too peppery?
Yes, that is your right. That's an opinion. I would say that that's an opinion. But for instance, like I said, with criminal action, it's not what we say in civil procedure, the balance of the evidence, okay, is it or is it not? In criminal procedure, you have to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. It just has to be certain that, okay, when this guy, it's like if I go to a restaurant where it says Zibby's Indian cuisine, and I go there and I start lambasting the restaurants about how they don't have Nigerian food, then you can say, okay, the place is called Indian cuisine. It's apparent, it is clear that they serve Indian food. You can't go there expecting to see Nigerian food. And then you come out and say, that could be, then the law would say, no, you're just trying to get into Zibby's bad books.
Okay, let's take a phone call. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Chika, is that you? All right, go ahead, please. All right, we've got about 30 seconds.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Chika, give us a ring back. You know the number 0144899981. Let's go on to WhatsApp. Taya says, I tend to disagree with counsel. The offender doesn't get to determine the manner of punishment. It's at the court's discretion. Even the punishment of imprisonment services serves as a deterrent for some, but not the recalcitrant. I agree with the element of an offense that is guilty act and a guilty mind. The latter is sometimes hard to prove. Good morning. All right, Chika, go right ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Chika. Yes.
Ika, let's stick to the conversation at hand. Okay, please let's make it fast. Thank you. All right. Thank you for calling and sharing your thoughts. I think we can start with responding to the first question that Chika raised.
Okay, which is
He basically spoke about a journalist being detained by the police on these charges.
well, see, that's the thing. Like I said before, most of the time there is a petition. I don't think the police are sitting down, going through social media or reading reports. They have a lot on their plate. So there must be someone writes a petition. And if they go through the petition, and I said, on the face of it, that warrants that person being invited for questioning or being arrested. I can't speak to the reasons or the motives of why the police did what they did because I don't have the facts. I don't have the facts that they have before them. But the law is clear. You're supposed to, pick someone up. If you arrest the person, you charge them to court within a certain period of time. The Administration of Justice Act, I think, gives them the power to extend that period by which someone can be held before he's charged to court. And if he hasn't been charged to court, then they might have investigated and found out that there's really nothing there. Because let's not forget, investigation is the process by which the police filter through what is presented, by both sides to see whether there's anything worth going to court for in the first instance. Otherwise, we'd have basically anybody that reports you just get picked up and you go to court. And there may be circumstances that warrant why the police will want to detain someone so that maybe you don't destroy evidence or they fear that you're a flight risk or they may have their reasons. But like I said, I can't speak to that because I don't know.
All right. There was another question that Chika asked, when public figures or government figures have come out and said things that are not exactly accurate. Has any crime been committed if this happens? I want him to get an answer.
No, I don't think that's a crime, Chika. Anybody, because if it's that one, then our parents can send them to prison for lying to us at one point in time, or what you seem to be like a misrepresentation. But if it is something that accords with that goes along the principles that, okay, it is false, you did it intentionally to cause harm or destroy someone's reputation or, along the other, and then there's a ground. And the police, like I said before, are not going to just go out and start picking up people. There has to be a report. There has to be a petition before the police can act, unless it's something that is so in the face.
Okay. Now, moving back to the previous part of the act that we started.
Sorry, I just want to talk about what Tayo said. I think Tayo had got me wrong. I didn't say the perpetrator gets to choose the punishment. It's the court that determines whether you get a fine, imprisonment, or both, not the person that perpetrates the crime.
All right. So coming back to the Cybercrime Act, business and organizations, how will this affect how these businesses basically practice and the liability for cyber related offenses? Say I've got my money. Okay. A few weeks ago, an Hollywood actress complained that she had her money in the bank and then some fraudsters went in and swiped her money.
Fantastic, Zibby. And I'll give you an example of this. I'm glad you mentioned that. About 15 years ago, my mother had an account in the UK, and she used to get her statements, like, monthly statements, probably like 2 to 3 weeks after the end of the month. And we got a letter saying one gentleman called Michael Forrester had basically emptied her account. And the narration was that she was paying for the fellow's school fees. So I had to call the bank and we spoke, and I said, no, she doesn't have a phone. This is the phone I use for her, and etc. etc. Zibby, I think I sent an email and her funds were sent back. But what do we have in Nigeria today? You have people calling on social media. Why? Because we don't have active participation by the people that should do. If anybody suffers a bank fraud today, what you hear, the first thing you try to do is say, oh, block your account, or block your number, or block your card. And then you run to your bank. And the first response you get, you must have given somebody your PIN. Hello, we already know that the PIN is compromised. That's not the issue. The issue is that something has been done without my consent. The person has a BVN, the person has an NIN. And a funny incident happened about 2 weeks ago or so. I heard of someone whose account against someone that was not so educated. They called, they call them and they play all these tricks, and she volunteered some information and she was debited. Now, after she went to the bank, she actually called the number like 4 days later, and the person picked up.
The alleged criminal.
The alleged criminal picked up, and in the normal Yoruba way, she rained curses on the person, and that was the end of that. What happens is that we have this, I referred to the advisory council before, and you have the banks there. So what I would expect for the average Nigerian to fulfill, instead of coming out and crying on social media, what we expect to happen is that seeing these people, there is a think tank or a working group where once somebody is reported of committing a crime, such as fake transfers or all these scams you have on online, on Instagram, people tell you that, oh, they'll sell you this, they'll sell you that, you send the money. I think Rotus was affected once.
Yes, he was, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, and you send but this person has an account number. So why can't the bank, let's not even talk about the police. Why can't, because they're all part of the body, why can't there be a body that once you're red flagged,
right, they
can trace you? Because you have the telecom operators there, you have the GSM operators there, you have the banks there. So why can't we have this body where immediately this thing happens, you send out a notification, you have the BVN, you have the NIN, you can track the person down, even with the phone number. You don't have to go to, you shouldn't even have to make a report to the, okay, you can report to the police, but you don't have to go the normal route the police go, which is what they do. They go and get a what is called the post-no debit order.
Right.
So which basically stops the person from withdrawing from that account. Now, if I'm a scammer and I know I'm scamming people with my account in Zibby Bank, and the day I want to do a transaction, they say, oh, there's an issue with your account. Please come to the bank. I'd be a very, very
unwise.
Thank you for helping me out, Zibby. Unwise scammer to actually go physically and appear at the bank. Although I'll tell you, it has been done. Some have actually appeared.
Wow.
But I think they've gotten wiser now. And to mention, this is not the only type of scam we have. You have scams on Facebook where people will go through your profile, put up an old profile, a dummy profile, and go and look for people that you haven't contacted in a long time. So they'll be like, Ibukun, it's so long, I haven't seen you for 5 years. Then they begin to tell that person of job opportunities. And then the scam goes on in many forms. They tell you need one certificate. Oh, there's a job in an oil company, but you have to have a diving certificate. Oh, can you dive? Of course I can't dive. I studied law in university, How can I be a diver? So it's okay, don't worry. Go and pay Mr. X this money. Call Mr. X. He'll link you to this person. You pay so money and you get a diving certificate.
And it's very interesting that some of these accounts are habitual scammers. They are consistent scammers. So even on Twitter, you see this person's being called out for scamming someone, and then there's a whole uproar about it. And then 2 months, everyone moves on. And then 2 months or 2 years later, another person comes up and says, oh, this person scammed me once again. All right, I think we have time for one phone call. Good morning.
Good morning, Soji.
We're not calling anyone's name, Soji. Yes, because this is your opinion. All right. Thank you.
So you're saying, if I understand, you're saying someone said something that is false. That again, like Chika said, we all tell falsehoods. I mean, in Nigeria today, you call somebody on the phone, say, where are you? Say, I'm at the bus stop. The person is still at home. So the what determines is not just telling a falsehood, Soji. You are telling it because you want to, it must fall into those buckets that the law has created for you. It's either you are doing it in such a manner that you are damaging someone's reputation, or you are causing a breakdown of law and order, or posing a threat to life. I'm just trying to read broadly. So if I say something that, oh, Soji is just a XYZ person, he's a no good person, and that is a lie. And I say, because of that, let's deal with him. And then people come because of that to attack you. Okay, a good incident on it was Nasboy. We spoke about Nasboy radio. So he spoke just 2 fellow celebrities having their thing. and and people were coming online to threaten him. Now that is a threat to life. That's a criminal offense on its own. Those people have not, said anything, like they'll tell a lie. But if you are, to put it lightly, telling a lie and misleading people because you want to cause a breakdown of law and order, what we had in normal law, what used to be breach of the peace, then the motion of the law should swing an action against you where there is a petition, or if it comes to the notice of the police by any other means.
All right. Thank you, Soji, for calling and sharing your thoughts. Ibukun, we're out of time, and I feel like there is still so much that we need to talk about. So I'm going to ask you publicly, can you please come back another time so we can have the phase B of this conversation?
We'll consider it. I'll take that advisement.
You're being such a lawyer right now. See, lawyers don't like to say yes or no, but in court, they'll tell you answer yes or no. Okay.
I can't argue with my host.
All right. Thank you so much, Ibukun, for being on the show with us this morning. Ibukun Konu of Counsel, Streamsowers, and Kohn. He definitely knows the law, and we're bringing him back because there is so much more to speak about. We don't have to end the conversation here, though. We can keep it going on social media. We're at Smooth981 across all social media platforms. That is it for Lagos Talks, but not to worry. I'm here with you until 11 a.m.